Okay, so I have finally seen Logan, and this isn't really going to be a full proper review of that because I got to it, weeks after release. Pretty much anyone who really wants to see it has seen it. Anyone whose opinion you really cared about, you would have already seen. Overall, it was good. It was very good, but there's one specific thing that I really want to talk about because it was the one thing about the movie that drove me nuts. And I fully realize I might be the only person that this bugged, so this is borderline nitpicky, but for me it really was it took me out of the movie thing. And again, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie, and pretty much everything aside from this, I was good with or loved. Oh, and spoilers. Like huge, massive spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go away. But all the stuff with the clone, the X-24 sort of younger, bestial Wolverine, I was really irritated that wasn't just Sabretooth. Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth, specifically. I know I might be alone on this, and I know the reasons why it wasn't, but I want to just talk about why I wish it was. So, first off, as much as everyone wants to disown everything about X-Men Origins Wolverine, and rightfully so, to be fair, there's one thing that was good about that movie, legitimately good, and Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth was good. His dynamic with Hugh Jackman was good. His look was great. He was intimidating, but he was fun. He enjoyed being nasty. I mean, he was miles better than Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, who was fine in that original as far as the look goes, but not even a candle being held there. And I like Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth so much, I actually even mentioned that I had wished he had been in the Wolverine, the previous Wolverine solo movie. Now that time I kind of let it go. Like, part of me had gone, it would have been nice because the mutant villain of this Viper's kind of weak. She's not great. He would have been so much better, but I let that one go because he didn't really fit that story. I'm not sure he would have slotted in there very well. And I had kind of come to terms with the fact that Liev Schreiber was probably not going to show up in Logan a long time ago, kind of on the same assumption. I assumed, well, there's really gonna be nowhere to slot him in, let it go. But then I watched the movie, and there's a perfect place to slot him in. This version of Wolverine that's younger and harsher and is just more savage. I'm like, that could have been Sabretooth. There's no reason why it isn't. And before you people start yelling at me in the comments, yes, I get the idea. I get that Logan, at the end of his life falling apart, has to literally fight the vicious, savage killer version of himself. They are literalizing that as a metaphor. I get what it's doing. I totally get it. And if Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth was not a thing that existed, I would have been fine with it. In a vacuum, it works, but just the instant he showed up, I was immediately going, I wish that was, because I mean, they gave him Sabretooth's close cropped hair and the beefed up sideburns. It looked like him in the shadows for a hot second. It was just, and beyond just really loving Liev Schreiber in this role, it would have given us closure on that, because we never got it. We really didn't. X-Men Origins Wolverine very deliberately didn't give us closure because obviously he had to survive because the character shows up chronologically later as far as the events that are unfolding go. And since Sabretooth never showed up in a chronological story that happened after the events of that first X-Men, I suppose it's possible he died in that fight, but first of all, no. Based on what we know about him and what he had already survived up to that point in that movie alone, no. But even beyond that, even if I accept that he died on the Statue of Liberty fighting Wolverine, that's not closure, because Wolverine didn't know who he was and he didn't understand the weight of that fight, and it was a fight that was happening just so Wolverine could get past him to this other thing. It wasn't the point of what was going on. So that, even if I accept that that was their last fight, that's incredibly unsatisfying. And like I said, I get why they didn't use him. They don't want to remind anybody of X-Men Origins Wolverine at all, like on any level whatsoever. And I get that bringing back the main antagonist actor from that to play that part one more time is sort of forcing the connection. It's forcing it back into canon to some extent. I get their resistance for doing that, but for crying out loud, you brought back the adamantium bullet and you felt free to have it work differently than it did last time. So why couldn't you bring back Sabretooth and not feel tied down to that other thing where it was crap? Because you seem to believe that the adamantium bullet was a good idea. So was he. Again, I'm getting myself a little worked up talking about it, because if I set this aside, like, Logan was good, and it was a good last story for this character, for this version of this character. It closed out Hugh Jackman's time as Wolverine really, really well. It's just this one thing, and it wasn't even I thought about it later. I'm in the theater, and when that younger version shows up, instantly, the instant I figured out what he was and what was going on, I'm like, that should have been Sabretooth. And you know what? Even if you tell me that he died in X-Men 1, I still say that should have been Sabretooth, because it's a clone anyway. So go ahead and clone the one guy who had a tendency to kick Logan's butt quite a few times. It just gets to me because it was a massive opportunity that I think would have paid wonderful dividends. Again, Liev Schreiber in this part is so good, and it would have given closure to that. I think they just shrugged their shoulders and went, you know, everyone hated X-Men Origins Wolverine so much that we don't need to give closure to that story, but you do. It's Sabretooth and Wolverine. You need to give closure to that story, and the opportunity was there as far as the story and the narrative goes. It was right there, and they just didn't do it. Oh well. Anyway, like I said, it's a good movie regardless, but that is my little, it's the one thing. That was it for me, but that's as close as I'm gonna get to doing a proper review of Logan. So, have you seen the film yet? What are your thoughts on it? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Give a listen to the Council of Geeks podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher. And until next time, this council is adjourned.